remnant, cry out mummy. Pick up a boulder with relative ease, makes crushing rocks seem such a breeze. He ain't move slow, he can jump high, but this calls one heck of a guy. Come on, Cranky, take it to the fridge. Walnut, peanut, pineapple smell, raised melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Walnuts, peanuts, pineapple smell, raised melons, oranges, and coconut shells. Oh yeah! Has no style, has no grace. This car has a funny face. He can handstand when he needs to and stretch his arms out just for you. Inflates himself just like a balloon. This crazy car just sings this tune. Don't be calm. Keep on his here.
It's about time to win. This time's in the mood. Keep fire high with this shit back on. With his whistles out, one tough call. He will make us battle with his team. But remnants, beware, cause he's after you. DJ, Donkey Kong. DJ, Donkey Kong.
So strong it isn't funny, can make up a remnant, cry out mummy. Pick up a boulder with relative ease, makes crushing rocks seem such a breeze. He ain't move slow, he can jump high, but this calls one heck of a guy. Come on, Cranky.
Welcome to Nintendo Self Live, episode 74?
Yeah,
74.
We've done a lot of these. It's been a while, again.
Life happens. It happens fast.
Well, Nintendo doesn't do a whole lot during pandemics, it turns out.
It's weird.
A whole lot of people don't do a whole lot during pandemics, namely me.
I mean, I do
a
plenty
lot of sitting at home.
But
That's fair.
This is really my extent of getting out, is coming here and doing the show.
Coming to my house?
Yeah. Oh God.
Yosh!
Sorry, I saw my Yoshi and I thought it needed to be on here.
He needs love.
Oh, what is on his face?
Sorry.
That's a nose.
You're right. We've got a lot of new stuff kind of going on here on set, which is, we planned on going live a little earlier, but that didn't happen. We have 3 separate cameras. Charla, if you want to focus on me and Logan really quick so they can see what's going on. See that? I'm looking at that camera, and then if she switches it back to camera 2, now I'm looking over here, and I can see you guys. Isn't that pretty cool?
Heck?
That's pretty fancy.
So yeah, Nintendo finally had something relatively new to talk about, being Super Mario's 35th anniversary, which is something that had been rumored, I think, since May.
We've been waiting for this. Like, it's been like in the background for such a long time that like I was starting to question, like, is this actually going to happen?
I had faith the entire time that this existed, and especially in the form that it came, it just made sense. But of course, I'm the ultimate believer here in the Break Room Arcade, so I mean, what's new?
I mean, I was always pretty convinced that this was going to happen. It's good to finally have kind of that confirmation. But, you know, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is the main thing that had been rumored all this time, that's not the only thing that Nintendo talked about. There's actually quite a bit going on for Super Mario's 35th anniversary, but before we really get going on that, let's talk about 3D All-Stars, since we've kind of been thinking about that so long.
I have opinions about this.
I bet you do.
So, I mean, first off, like, for the $60 we're getting, you know, 3 3D Mario games, it's not the exact, like, quantity of...
You got this.
Where do you want me, man? Where do you want me?
Right
There. It was
Okay.
facing the wrong way.
It happens. I obviously, you know, I wanted more of the 3D games to make it in there, namely Galaxy 2. I'd also would have liked to see 3D Land get a little bit of love in there.
Yeah.
All things considered, though, $60 for those 3. Those are the main 3 that I've been wanting to replay the most: 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. So I'm really excited to pay for it. I'm really just hoping that, like, DLC or, like, a free expansion later, even if I have to pay $20 to get Galaxy 2, I would love to see them show that game a little bit more love.
It's such a weird omission. Like, when you think about the other 3D games that are in the collection, I could understand not putting 3D Land in there or 3D World, especially knowing what they're doing with 3D World.
Yeah, that was definitely a better, like, direction for that one.
So, like, it would have made sense to put Galaxy 2 in there because it kind of matches that 3D Mario lineage that the other 3 games have. So, definitely a strange omission. But I think in addition to that, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't go further with specifically Super Mario 64, because we are just getting that game in 720p.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's kind of, again, like, I'm hoping this isn't something that, like, after it's out in the wild, they just leave it be. I'm hoping it's something that they kind of go in and kind of keep playing with for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Because the whole 35th anniversary, they had a lot of, like, now until this time next year for things. So I'm hoping that's kind of one of them, that they keep working on it, keep expanding it, keep improving upon it. What we're getting is worth the $60 still. I don't want them to feel like they're gypping us, or, like, I don't want to say that, but
Sure.
I'm hoping they keep doing stuff with it over time. And that's definitely more love to 64 and Sunshine would be.
That said, I mean, even without, like, new lighting or, like, grand new textures or models, I think Super Mario Sunshine made the transition to HD pretty nicely. It looks good, which is not something I would have expected just from an HD upres of that game.
Yeah. That game was pretty.
Yeah.
I'm excited, and so I think, okay, a lot of, obviously, this discourse about, like, remakes versus remasters. Obviously, these are remasters. These aren't, like, big overhauls. And, you know, before they had revealed this, we kind of talked about what we had wanted from this, right? Specifically, something with, like, oh, Galaxy really doesn't need any makeover so much, you know, maybe a few things around the edges. Obviously, upres, great. I feel like the only one that could really have benefited from, like, a remake would have been 64, but just given the nature of this project, like, I don't think it would make sense to just remake one of them and then just remaster the other two. And so, again, a lot of people are like, I saw, like, a graphic the other day. It's like, oh, look at all these, you know, these remakes, and they showed, like, the Spyro old games and then the remakes, and then these more, like, really significantly changed remakes.
Right.
And then it showed, like, Super Mario 64, and I'm like, this is just unfair. Like, and because we're not just getting 64, we're getting 3 full games.
And they're all, like,
this isn't
very
one game.
different too, because they're all different systems, so you can't expect them to, like,
just give them the same treatment.
Yeah.
And so I guess the other comparison would be like, okay, well, what about the, you know, first few Super Mario Bros. Games? to the Super Mario Bros. All-Stars collection. And in that case, it's like, okay, those are all 2D games, and then they all just remade them in a singular style, you know? So again, like, it's a different nature, and I guarantee these games are still going to play well. And
They did the first time, so
Yeah.
Well, some segments of Sunshine are debatable on that front, but
And we might potentially see some changes to that, I would hope.
Yeah. I imagine, like, obviously there are changes, right? Other than just up-resing these games, right? So I would hope that, you know, okay, so say something like Super Mario 64. Or what about the camera work, right? Has the camera work changed? Because that would be a significant upgrade.
And you could definitely say the same thing for Sunshine. In the case of Mario 64, like, we had those, like, incremental changes when you tap the C buttons on the 64 controller for the camera, but I would prefer it, and we've seen this in some mods, where the camera is just glides like you would expect it to in a more modern game. That would be pristine if they were to do that.
kind of give it the well, I guess one other thing on the list that we need to talk to eventually anyway is 3D Worlds Remake, because they definitely played around with that camera and the speed of the game. Some of that might be nice in this trilogy of games.
For sure. Charlotte, could we get some gameplay up? But
Before we forget, super producer Charlotte Benson's here with us today in the studio. Next week she's gonna be Mrs. Anderson. So
Whoa.
Paul, you're getting married?
nope,
No.
I'm leveling up in life.
She's literally just changing her last name.
Okay, well, I was wondering why you weren't... You didn't tell me, man. So, I think this is going to be a good get. I'm still excited. Like I said, I'm just a little deflated in some respects. But
Galaxy 2 was the better of the Galaxy games.
yeah, it's kind of a landslide better game. Now, if you are like a big stickler for Galaxy's story, specifically the first one, then I can understand maybe you don't like Galaxy 2 that much, because Galaxy 2 almost pretends the first one didn't happen.
I mean, but if we just pretend the first one didn't happen, then we're golden.
We don't have the Comet Observatory. We don't have Starship Mario. Or we do have Starship Mario in that game. It's just like, it's smaller in scale in terms of the presentation, but as far as it is as a game, like, the level design's better. It's harder, so it's a little bit better for someone who, like me, who is experienced in Mario. And I guess you could even say that for Galaxy fans, because people who played Galaxy as maybe their first Mario, they had a whole game to get good at it. So let's up the ante a little bit with the second one.
The only thing I can say really about Galaxy 2, because I've never played through it. I've played some of Mario Galaxy 2. But the one thing that I really appreciated about Galaxy that didn't feel quite the same in Galaxy 2 is just the structure and the progression of the levels.
Yeah.
So, because, you know, Galaxy has in a lot of ways that, like, that kind of overworld feel that 64 has, that's kind of missing from Galaxy 2.
Yeah, it kind of this was kind of the beginning of Nintendo leaning Mario more specifically into that classic direction. Because, like, the very next game in the series was 3D Land, which was a blend of 2D, 3D Mario. But I don't find that to be necessarily a detriment to the game, because I think of the Comet Observatory, and it is the least interesting 3D hub in terms of the three Mario games.
That's fair. I mean, nothing can beat, like, Princess Peach's castle and the surrounding area.
And also flying around on Mario's face through space.
Yeah.
Best hub world, 10 out of 10.
And Delfino Island is a pretty rad place, too. Like, I feel like Delfino Island is kind of the precursor to New Donk City. There's buildings to climb up on and little nooks and crannies in every direction.
The only thing I'd give that one is that I felt like traversing, what is it? Delfino Isle was more interesting because you had FLUDD and you had, like, mobility attachments that made it more interesting flying around there.
The only, like, bad part of Isle Delfino, if you ask me, is the boats. Like, there's that one challenge where you take Yoshi to one of the islands, and it's just so boring. And, like, I remember failing it so often as a kid just because I wanted to I just wanted it to be over, so I'd like try and jump to the island from as far away as possible, and if Yoshi touches the water, he dies. So I killed a lot of Yoshis.
I mean, hear me out. Like, just a twist, like throwing like a water Yoshi fruit and just like make that a little easier for us. I'd rather just swim there as Yoshi than ride the boats.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so bad. I guess one of the last things we could touch on for 3D All Stars is the controls. We've had some clarifications on a few things. We'll start with Galaxy. Motion controls are optional, so there is a toggle for that, except for the starbit pointer, which you use to collect starbits in that game. That is a requirement as far as motion controls are concerned, unless you're playing in handheld mode only, in which case it's controlled via the touchscreen, which I thought was a nice compromise.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that it's just like gyro-based. I believe it has support for the Pro Controller, so...
Splatooning it?
Yeah,
when you're
pretty much.
platforming? Okay.
That's acceptable, right? I don't necessarily want to have to go back to the Wiimote shake.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seems too weird for me. And then of course the other thing that was mentioned that I like hardly remember from that game is the balancing balls, right?
Oh,
the marble levels.
Yeah.
that actually might be way funner with gyro than.
Yeah, because it just used the accelerometer in the Wii Remote, because the Wii Remote didn't have a gyroscope in it.
Right.
So I feel like this will control a lot better. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, I can't wait to do those missions without motion controls," and I'm like, I feel like it's going to be a better experience this time because of that.
Unless they just didn't remap it to the gyro.
Oh my God, it would just be as bad as it was in the first release.
Let's just hope, like deep down in our hearts of hearts, that like if they put time and effort in anything, it's the pachinko level.
Yes. Me and Logan have had a lot of discussions about the infamous pachinko level.
I've never played the pachinko level, and I want to play it in its original glory. So I hope they
We
don't
can set you
fix
up
it.
with that to see how you feel, but
You're not going to have a good time.
Where's Sunshine? Let's go.
Speaking of Sunshine, they have also confirmed there will not be GameCube controller support for it.
that's a weird choice.
In respects that, like, if you were to plug in a GameCube controller, it would treat it as a Pro Controller, and you would not have analog triggers. So no analog triggers for Flood, which is a little disappointing to me.
I want to know how that's
specifically.
going to work
okay.
then. Are they just going to abuse the fact that you'd have like the two triggers on each side? To,
I've been wondering about that. So like, is the bumper like a half power, and then the full power would be the trigger? You don't need the analog triggers to beat the game. As far as I'm aware, there are some like speedrunning techniques and stuff like that might be possible because of the analog triggers. So not a lot is lost, but it is still kind of a bummer because that was a main feature of the GameCube, right?
Yeah.
You could use them in Luigi's Mansion too, and you could like half suck up things, or you could full suck up things.
The analog triggers, they were the glory of the GameCube.
That's why that controller holds up for so long.
I mean, I understand why they chose not to go with analog triggers for like the Switch,
yeah.
specifically because like okay, the Joy-Cons, like how's that gonna work? They probably could have done it, but I imagine the Joy-Cons would be a little bit bulkier, which actually doesn't sound like a bad idea to me.
I use the Pro Cons, and I prefer them to Joy-Cons because
Yeah.
they're bigger.
So, but I guess it's all about that form factor, and then if you're gonna have like feature parity and just stuff like that, just
Yeah.
and honestly, like a lot of things you don't necessarily need analog triggers for. Like a lot of games don't even use them necessarily.
Sure. So this comes out on September 18th,
Thank God.
which was quite the turnaround from reveal to release, which is awesome.
If I had to wait any longer than like a couple weeks, I probably would have lost my cool a little bit. I needed this game.
Yeah, this is gonna be like the game that saves the year for me, at least in terms of like Nintendo, because they're, and it's understandable, but there hasn't been a lot outside of Animal Crossing. We have Pikmin 3 coming out next month, which I'm excited about.
I forgot about that one, so thanks for the reminder.
You're welcome. And And then hopefully there's something in the November slot that we don't know about. But at this
Zelda
point,
Zelda Remake.
if it's Skyward Sword remake, you know what? I'm on board.
Yes, please.
But at this point, I think I'm safe in assuming that I'm not expecting anything.
If anything, I'd say like maybe a port, because there's still the rumors floating around about Skyward Sword and then Metroid Prime.
Okay, so I guess the question is, of the 3 games, which ones are you most excited about playing?
Pokemon.
And why? Why?
I'm excited for Super Mario Sunshine because that game has been trapped on the GameCube for 18 years.
I think I'm also in agreement about Sunshine, though I'm also, I think, near as equally excited to play Galaxy again, because I've played Sunshine more recently than I have Galaxy.
I think
That's fair.
I'm on the same page as you guys, but for different reasons, because I have never completed Sunshine. I've completed 64, and I've completed Galaxy.
I'm saying
but
this
I've
out
never-
of love. Please leave this table and go play it. Just go.
Okay, it's like literally less than 2 weeks till it comes out. I think I'll wait, especially if I get to play it in HD. That's the other thing is like I have a copy of Super Mario 64, and I've sat
For
down-
64?
Huh?
An original 64 copy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And sitting down to play it on like a big like TV, it looks real rough.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. So at least having it, obviously it's still 4:3, but you know that just cuts out some extra. So being kind of HD, I think will make the game look a lot better. And obviously they've done a little touch up on things here and there. It still looks very true to form.
Yeah.
Also, the only version I've actually ever beaten of Super Mario 64 was Super Mario 64 DS.
I'm sorry.
Which I 100%ed. I got all 150 stars. But like I do remember the frustration of only having 8-way directional controls.
You think?
It was a nightmare. So I'm very, very excited to
Wait, you mean you
replay.
didn't play with the touchscreen to control?
We don't talk about that. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm also really excited to see how Galaxy looks in a full 1080p.
The last time I played a Wii game on my 55-inch television was Skyward Sword, which is partially why I want Skyward Sword to get remade so badly,
please.
because when you put it
Yeah.
up on your nice modern TV, it doesn't look so hot.
Yeah, I think Galaxy among the 3 games in the pack still just like looks fantastic. You could tell me that it's a new game if I had never heard of or seen Galaxy before, and I'd probably believe you, because that art direction it was made to be, you know,
The Wii
everlasting.
era, I feel like their
It's
art
so
directions,
galactic.
like, they held up well, even if the visuals, like, when it's on the TV, doesn't
Yeah.
look as hot. But, like, I'm pretty sure if we got, like, HD Skyward Sword, like, that game would also look just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you even think about games like Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort, and Wii Sports Resort especially. If you ask me, that game still looks really nice. They just like they lean into their art style, and it just makes it last longer. Unlike a lot of these photorealistic games, which after a couple of years you realize don't look that great.
Don't age well. Don't
Like, if you
age
look back at, like,
well.
Wind Waker, like, Nintendo owns their art direction most of the time.
Yeah.
They go with a little bit cartoonier, but, like, it holds up. And that's the difference, I think, between, like, a lot of other franchises and, like, Nintendo's main franchises that, like, Nintendo games hold up.
Can we talk about this thing? I was gonna say another word. That Nintendo has pulled with this limited release.
So, Super Mario 3D All-Stars is only going to be available until March 31st, both physically and digitally.
That is a really weird call.
And I'm not entirely sure I understand why.
I could understand, like, limiting the physical release, but why the digital release?
I have a theory, and Logan and I have talked about this a little bit. I think they might be positioning 3D All-Stars as a limited edition collector's item. And then after March 31st, all 3 of those games will be available on the eShop for $20 a piece, but not in collection format.
Okay, I mean that could also kind of play into what I was saying earlier about like
Galaxy.
you throw Galaxy 2
Yeah.
or like you make changes and whatnot. If they have like the limited physical release and then later on everything's individual.
And then they also release Galaxy 2.
Yep.
That'd be pretty cool.
And I mean, there's also the potential that Nintendo 64 Online comes to Nintendo Switch, and they might have some kind of issue with Super Mario 64 being available on that as well as a purchasable game. But you know, I don't know like how far that goes.
I could see if they like made changes to the like collection release versus what's on the like 64 Online.
Yeah.
If they made it worth it, like if they added like a toggle where like there's a little bit like more modernized graphics and you can go back to the old school if you really want. I don't know what else outside of that they could really do for it, but like if they played like with the camera and the like graphics a little bit for like the All-Stars release and then they put it on that platform as well, then that could make it, I could give someone a reason to spend $20 on that versus playing it for free over here.
Yeah, for sure. Because as it stands, like the NES and the SNES games that are on Switch Online are up-resed to high-definition graphics. So if they were to just take Super Mario 64 and put it on Switch Online, it's probably going to be the exact same version that we have on the purchasable pack. That's kind of where I see it going. But there are reasons I doubt this theory too, and that's because it's not the only game that they have limited to March 31st, 2021. And that is Super Mario 35 from the developers of Tetris 99, which looks really fun.
It does. It looks pretty zany.
So the basic premise is 35 Marios all drop onto an island. No, it's you're playing levels from the original Super Mario Brothers, and it basically is the last man standing. If you kill an enemy in your instance of that level, it gets sent to somebody else's. So it's pretty much just like NES Remix meets Battle Royale, right? And I think that's pretty cool. It's coming out for free, I think, on October 1st. It's very, very close to launching. And I like this because it's just another bonus for Super Mario's 35th, because this is not something I would have expected.
It's not something I would have really thought to have asked for either.
But that's cool, right?
Yeah,
It
that's
keeps
what
you-
makes it fun.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes.
This actually kind of like takes me back to like The Wizard, and they had like the big tournament.
Oh,
and
like
they
at
were
the
all,
end of the movie?
Yeah, like competing for highest score, but like I feel like this would be a better direction for like that.
Yeah.
Like that would have been rad if they did that in that movie for the game.
Oh, yeah, that would have been really cool. If you win a certain amount of coins. They haven't really talked about what that currency is for, but I'm assuming it's going to be like Tetris 99, where you can redeem special themes. I don't know, like, what kind of themes you'll get out of the classic original Super Mario Brothers.
Zelda.
See, the only reason I'd push back on that is because, okay, Tetris 99 obviously has these themes, but Tetris 99 is also a perpetual non-limited title that you can also buy a physical copy of.
Right.
And so it's like, it makes sense. Oh, cool, I'm playing some Tetris. Oh, I want to choose a different theme just because I want a different song, a different aesthetic, whatever it may be. And then you can add to the collection. Super Mario 35 is going to be like, oh, cool, new themes. But then, all right, March 31st is here. Congratulations. Doesn't matter anymore.
I don't know, excuse me, if, like, internally Nintendo has some weird, like, Mario guidelines list where they can only do certain things with the character. We know that's true in the case of, like, Paper Mario.
Right.
But it seems so weird to me that not only would this apply to Super Mario 35, but it would also apply to, like, 3D All-Stars. And they both have the same expiration date.
It might be that when it expires, they upgrade it to Mario 36. Every year they just add another Mario to it.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
I mean, it could also just be that, like, imagine how zany it'd be for, like, the 50th anniversary when they bring it back out of nowhere.
I guess that's true, yeah. I think, like, you know, Tetris 99 got a home release, right? Mm-hmm. Where you don't need Switch Online to play it, even though you kind of do if you want to play online. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if, like, after that expiration, do they just pull it and then make a more premium home release that anyone can buy?
Mario 36.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers 36. Yeah, so I don't know. It's weird, but I'm excited to play this. It's nice. It's free. We'll get to play it for 6 months.
Free is my favorite price tag.
And
so.
maybe longer than
And
that.
that's the other thing, right? Is because I like Tetris, but I don't even play Tetris 99 that much because it's just a different thing, right? It's like more overwhelming for me, and I just can't handle it. Super Mario 35 is gonna be like one of those things that I'm like, I'm gonna play it, and then what happens if at a certain point I'm like, man, I want to play Super Mario 35, and then I realize it's April 1st. You know, like that's gonna be really disappointing.
That's even
You
funnier.
write an angry letter to Nintendo.
They dropped the game on April Fool's Day.
It's like,
Super Mario 35 looks like something that I feel like I could have a lot of fun with, even if I'm not very good at it. It's just like you're playing Super Mario Brothers in a really zany, unique way. So I think this game will have a lot of longevity in that sense.
Well, it's gonna be you're playing Super Mario Brothers, but it's gonna be a different experience every time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the fun of Mario Maker, but like no one's set this up, so you really don't know what to expect, what's going to happen, because it's you're interacting in this, or your interactions with this affect everyone else's interactions with it.
And another bonus to that too is I feel like Tetris 99 matches might run a little bit long for my taste, whereas Super Mario Brothers 35, you know, people are going to be dying left and right, and there's only 35 players, and I'm pretty sure it's just locked to one level, and Mario levels are short.
Yeah.
So I feel like these matches will run shorter, and I'll be more inclined to play more and more games. So yeah, I think that'll be cool. But that's not the only like weird random Super Mario 35th anniversary weirdness game that they came up with. And I'm talking about Mario Kart Live Home Circuit.
yeah.
I would have never guessed that was the direction they were going to go with that. When I saw the Mario going, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I was super confused, and they're like teasing the RC car racing on the ground, and then eventually they reveal that it's an RC car with a camera on it, and you control it with your Switch, and it displays like characters and items and stuff through AR technology, which is super cool.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Like, how did they come up with this?
Yeah, I think this is like objectively the coolest thing in the Direct.
I agree.
Like,
Oh, for sure.
It's like, because obviously, like, Super Mario 3D All Stars is something we all wanted. It's something we anticipated. It's something that I absolutely am going to get.
Yeah.
But like, this was just out of left field. It was something different. I feel like it's kind of like another Labo kind of thing.
I was going to
except
say
even
Labo on
cooler.
the crack.
Yeah.
It's also given me kind of like Ring Fit Adventure vibes, where like this brand new concept is based around a specific technology that they developed for it.
Yeah.
And
Hey, super producer, if you wouldn't mind throwing some gameplay of that up, the trailer
thanks,
for Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
Amazing.
And it's really cool. So like you have these gates, 4 gates that you set around your room, and then you take Mario or Luigi if you have Luigi, and you just drive through them.
You have to get both. Okay, you have to.
I'm going to.
So am I.
And you paint the track. It's funny, like for contextually, they have Lakitu throw a can of paint at you, and then you have to drive around the room to draw the track. And then when you run out of paint, that's like the extent of what the track can be. I think that's awesome. Like, I was wondering, we were having conversations about this, like how do you limit the boundaries of the track? But it's all built into the software. So you just drive around, and I think it's like 2 carts wide as far as how wide the track is. But I feel like this has unlimited potential because it's only limited by your creativity. You doing all right over there, Charlotte?
Technical difficulties. It's all good,
do
guys.
the picture.
There we go. Is this the first time we're doing this?
I think so.
All right,
It's
cool.
amazing. I'm such an awe. I love technology.
Technology is really cool.
There's so much technology in this shot. There's like audio and there's video and then there's the Mario
AR
Kart.
RC cars.
This is incredible.
I mean, just focusing in on that. Like, when they first started showing this trailer, I'm like, man, this is the weirdest track I've ever seen. It's really well textured. Like, That's some good modeling.
I saw somebody. I've seen a few like comparisons with the PS5, Xbox Series X. I saw two things. One, it was the spec list for the PS5. It was the spec list for the Xbox Series X, and then it was the Super Mario 3D All-Stars box art. And then, in addition to that, I saw like comparisons of like, oh, look at like, here's the PS5 graphics, and it was a picture of a PS5 game, and then Xbox Series X graphics, and then the next one was like Mario Kart Live. Just absolutely losing it.
So what we're seeing on screen now is kind of what I was talking about.
See, I didn't realize that that's what was going on the first time I watched this.
Yeah, it took me a few times checking back to see how it worked, but you literally draw the paint, or you paint the track down, and then you get to race on it. And it's up to 4 players, but each person has to have their own Switch and RC car, obviously.
Yeah, this is actually going to be like really fun if you're like really into crafting, because you can make up your own little barricades and like.
Yeah, I was about
stuff.
to say, like, you got all these like, you know,
Dominoes
blocks and
toys
whatnot,
and,
like thrown around. Really, really cool. I can't wait to like
This is gonna be my favorite
have
Lego
a
Mario
space
Kart
that
set.
I could actually do this.
I feel like, and we talked about this, I think like the potential for live in-person like tournament events is going to be really cool. So like you could have a big room and you could build a really cool track, and then everybody shows up with their Switches and RC cars.
I'm gonna say something that like I want, but also don't want. I want there to be more characters, but I also don't want to have to buy all of them. But I know as soon as they announce other like
Make
models,
me spend more money, please. What I think they should have done, and maybe this is a limitation because of the camera technology, but what if they had it so that Mario and Luigi are swappable? So like you could pull them out of the cart and just slot somebody else in. I know like it's the M and the L carts, so you would lose a little bit of the theming, but it makes it a little less expensive.
I mean, that would also open the doors for like new carts, new racers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They could get even more money out of me.
That being said, like the Mario that you see and the Luigi that you'll see within the AR environment is just that it's AR, right? So you don't necessarily need to change the characters to have different characters. That being said, I think it would be great if they just ended up releasing more characters along the line.
Totally.
I mean, my favorite like driver isn't even available yet. I want Waluigi.
Yeah. I was surprised. I feel like because it's 4 players, they should have at least launched with 4 characters. So like Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Yoshi. I feel like that's your base 4
Or Bowser.
Or Bowser for any like Mario Kart experience.
Okay, no, you need Rose Gold Peach, you need Gold Mario, you need Silver
What
Metal Mario.
in the world is a Rose Gold Peach?
It is a Peach who is Rose Gold.
I think you
I don't know how that's.
I think you mean Pink Gold Peach.
Same thing.
Get your
Same
facts straight.
thing.
This is
Same
Nintendo
thing.
stuff. You got to be right.
To be fair, I thought it was Rose Gold Peach too.
And to be fair, the characters only appeared in one game.
Excuse me, Mario Kart Tour?
Roasted.
That's not a game. I installed Mario Kart Tour on my phone, and every time I try to boot it
It
up,
gives you an error too?
it goes 12%, and then it goes, error has occurred.
Am I the only one who can play?
It wouldn't let me do that either, so I'm kind of
Really?
upset because I'm trying to just play the event so I can get the check mark in the missions thing.
Oh,
That being
right.
said, you
maybe that's why.
you only need 5. There's 6 missions, and one of the required missions is buying
the game.
Which I did already.
So
I might
you've
buy
already,
a second copy because I bought it digitally. And
So
I
you've
realized
already
after I
you've
bought
already
physical.
like done everything you need to get the
Also,
pins.
if you at
Oh,
home
perfect.
are trying to get the Super Mario 35 pin collection, you do have to buy 3D All-Stars to get the final check mark, but that check mark doesn't actually trigger until launch day. So like until they've confirmed that, hey, you actually bought the game. No pre-ordering and canceling on us.
Dang, they caught me.
Why would you pre-order and then cancel anyway just to get pins when you don't even want to play the games? Like I thought that was part of the deal, you know?
But yeah, I'm trying to pre-order these Mario and Luigi RC cars.
And they're not up for pre-order anywhere, and it's really weird to me when it's coming out in a month.
Yeah, October 16th, I think.
You'd think that they'd be like, okay, you want to give us your money for it? Sure.
I can't wait to go to the store, buy my RC cars, go into my basement, and just start playing with toys. It's really exciting because, I don't know, I feel like this might be a bigger hit with adults than even children.
I don't have the space in my apartment, but you better believe that me and super producer Charlotte are going to be making up tracks and going crazy in our living room.
You also need to come over and we need to do some 4-player.
I also love to think about, like, for so long people have been like, video games are for kids, they're for teenagers, but like we're at a point where Mario's 35 years old, right? There are
not even
obviously
that old.
some much older fans. I imagine
Yeah.
when video games, were coming out in arcades that there were already older fans, but like now we've kind of like aged into it as well. I even saw somebody, just even me. I'm 26. I'm no longer a child, and yet I still do this, and I still play a ton of games.
It
So-
always comes with judgment from my parents, but you know what? It's whatever. They
How
indulge
could you
me.
say-
Oh
Didn't
yeah,
your
mom
dad
and
turn you
dad.
on
I
to
don't
Mario?
usually see you
He
guys.
did. Dad, I'm going to call you out here. So when I was a kid, you introduced me to Mario when I was like 3 years old. Also, I have been told that you were a Mario fanatic before I was born.
Well, he's not welcome in this house anymore. We don't need that negativity.
He only turned on me when he realized I thought it was cool. It's like, I can't like the same things that my son does.
That'd be bonding.
No, we played all kinds of games together when I was growing up. One of our favorites was Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. I played a lot of that game. But yeah, speaking of like catering to adults, I feel like the very first announcement in the Direct really speaks to that. Charlotte, can you pull up the Game & Watch trailer? I don't know if there's a separate trailer for that.
I think there was.
Okay.
I would hope so.
I mean, at least uploaded to the YouTube channel.
Right.
I think there was.
Okay. But they're releasing a Game & Watch that allows you to play Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 2 Japan on a tiny Game & Watch LCD screen and in color.
And you can also play Game & Watch Ball.
Oh, yeah, with Mario's head.
This was honestly like one of the weirder announcements to me. I wouldn't have expected this.
Well, Logan and I talked about this a little bit at work, and I realized that it's also the 40th anniversary
For
of,
Game & Watch?
of Game & Watch. They're just not talking about it. At least not here.
But I mean, regardless, this is a great collector's item. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, like, you don't need this to play Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 2 Japan.
It's a
But you do
novelty
need
thing.
it to play Mario.
Mario Ball. No, you need it for the clock.
Actually, I was gonna say, don't judge me, but I'm absolutely buying that mostly for
I
the
feel
clock.
like if I see somebody like walking around with this and like sitting down and just playing Mario, like it's a flex. It's really just
Oh.
a flex,
I spent $50. But it's cool. It's like it's kind of gold colored, and they haven't produced a new Game & Watch in a long time. I feel like there was some on Club Nintendo.
Yeah, they had like the DS collections with them.
Right. But this is the first like actual new
Game & Watch.
Game & Watch product, which is pretty neat.
console.
Yes, exactly. They put the D Plus pad on there, which originated, I think, on Game & Watch systems. So yeah, it's cool. It really just brings everything together. So I think that's awesome. Was there other game announcements? There was a lot of announcements in this.
Well,
short
we did.
direct.
We touched on it, but 3D World.
Oh yes, this
Plus.
I think my order of hype is as follows from least to best. Super Mario 3D All Stars,
Wow.
Mario Kart Live, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. There is so much
And
going on.
then
In this
Super Mario 35.
Yes, there's. If you had just watched this trailer and hadn't done any research, you wouldn't know what's going on with this game. Charlotte, could you bring up the gameplay footage? So they just showed like regular gameplay of it, but something I noticed and was very quickly like spotted by Game Explain and other locations or other publications, the game is faster.
See, I noticed that like it looked better, but I couldn't quite place
Yeah.
what it was that like made it seem different.
I think John said, John Cartwright at Game Explain, he said it's like 30% faster when he was like doing tests. That's a lot for game movement speed.
I think the game actually, like, when I saw the original footage, I think that's what it, like, missed and why it didn't, like, click with me the first time.
because it was slow.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Well, and then I was watching the Game Explain comparison video that they had put up. Just fantastic work, gentlemen.
Game Explain.
But yeah, it was really interesting to see that like a lot of these jumps that they were making, that Mario went further.
Yeah.
So I obviously, like in the original footage in some of those jumps, like he was just making it to like the edge.
Just like barely hitting it.
He's like they're landing on the boost pad.
Uh-huh.
I feel like it'll probably make a lot of the platforming a lot easier. And I think part of the reason, I don't think they would have changed it unless they had like a really good reason outside of just, hey, we want the game to be a little bit faster. And I think it's going to play into the extra content. I would not be
That's what I was
surprised,
thinking.
yeah, if that, this plus Bowser's Fury section is just going to be like the end section, a new campaign or whatever, that's just going to be balls to the walls difficult. And again, like that utilizes the fact that you're going that much faster.
Yeah, and we're about to see the Bowser's Fury footage show up here. I think this is really exciting. We heard in the rumors that 3D World was getting the biggest treatment of all of these games that are getting re-released.
Weird choice, but honestly, looking
but
at this, I like it.
Yeah.
It's the most recent game. It was the game that they could go back.
It was
and change
also
the
the
most.
game that was on the Wii U that definitely needed re-releasing because it was on the Wii U.
Yeah, and this just makes it so much more enticing. But like, if you look at the world design there, it feels very open. And at first, I thought it was just a world map. But if you look around, there's platforms and things moving around. So I'm wondering
It's
if
so dark and spooky.
it's also it's very dark and spooky.
I
So-
love the tone of it.
Yeah.
That actually like grabs my interest way more than anything else about it.
And like even the way they like cut into the release date, it's like very slow and ominous. So they're building up to something. But I think the gameplay might be a marriage between what we believe is 3D Mario and what 3D World did with 3D Mario. So like a more open world design, but with 3D World gameplay.
Well, it could also be a good like test at like open world 3D Mario multiplayer,
Yeah, that's also
which
true.
is something that we haven't really got to
Oh my
date.
god, I always forget about that. I'm like, this is a multiplayer game. They also added online too,
Which is huge.
Oh my gosh, like the fact that I don't have to be in the same room as anybody to actually play multiplayer, which I love being in the same room. I love being on the same console to play this kind of stuff. But the fact that it's an option just to be at home playing with my
Pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
The pandemic update.
All
But-
games need it.
Yeah, I was just getting super excited seeing all the stuff they're doing this. Like you said, they added online. They sped the game up. There's more camera features. And then there's Bowser's Fury, which they decided not to tell us anything about. They're like, we'll tell you more about that later.
Yeah, they just kind of gave us that one
need-
shot.
I need a quick hand here. Maybe the chat can help us too. But super producer Charlotte Benson told me I can't buy this game yet. So
What?
Why?
What
On
the
the
heck,
spot.
Charlotte?
she's like, it's the same game we already have.
But
What
you
the
haven't even
heck?
played 3D World yet, really, have you?
No. So I'm willing to pay $60 again to get Bowser's Fury.
Why
too.
do you even have a Wii U anymore? What's the point?
It's also
Like,
it's
all
also
the games have been released on Switch at this point.
We're also failing
Save for
to-
Pikmin 3, which is coming out soon.
We're also
That's the better version.
we're also failing to recognize that 3D World is also upres to 1080p because I think it was 720p on Wii U. So like,
Why did the
Oh,
Wii U
gross.
exist? The only game
There was
the
an
only game
attempt.
that hasn't been ported is like Nintendo Land.
which is never gonna happen.
Right.
I wouldn't expect them to even try. So
I would, if they ever do, it's like a free version that you can download from the eShop.
Yeah.
Switchland,
Yeah.
new Switchland.
But yeah, I'm really excited about this. One of the things I'm hoping with the multiplayer, and this is something they used to do with Smash Bros. They don't actually do in Ultimate, is letting you bring a friend online with you. So like, can me and my wife Michaela, can we go online and play with like you and Charla?
No, you can't.
Or
Because I'm still not allowed to buy it.
Yeah, in my expert opinion,
Or Logan.
in my expert opinion, knowing Nintendo, that's not gonna happen.
So like one person per system is what you're thinking.
Yeah, unless you're doing local, right? Unless they just took out the local.
You know, I didn't even think about this. On the eShop, it has local, wireless, and online. So there's actually 3 different ways to play multiplayer. But I didn't even think about this. When you played it on Wii U, you were all using the same screen, so you were kind of locked.
But
To a
if you
certain
have
distance.
local,
Yeah.
then yeah.
So like with each person having their own screen, is it going to focus on them and kind of let you explore a little bit wider?
Because that was like the best part of like Monster Hunter on 3DS.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to say it's like an underutilized feature of the Switch, but we have that opportunity to let everyone kind of like have their own camera controls and like explore freely in the same room
Yeah.
for local like multiplayer. So why aren't we embracing that?
We definitely should. I hope to see that when the game comes out in February. It comes out on my birthday, so happy birthday me. But yeah, I think it's going to be awesome, and I'm not opposed to paying $60 for it. I expect Nintendo to take it off the Wii U eShop and then put it back on 2 weeks later, like they did with Pikmin 3. What a weird thing for them to take it down and then put it back. But
Oh
whatever.
yeah, people still have that console and they might want that game for it.
Yeah.
Weird.
Strange. Then there were some other like more casual, like Mario 35 anniversary things. Like there's the new content for Mario Kart Tour. They're putting Super Mario Kart Mario and Donkey Kong Jr. in as characters in their sprite forms, which really looks really cool. They're having a Splatfest, Mushrooms versus Stars,
They have really cool T-shirts for that Splatfest that you can actually buy.
and physical keychains you can get as physical rewards from My Nintendo.
The return of physical rewards.
Yes.
It's almost like they should have
Speaking
never gone
about
anywhere in the first
physical
place.
rewards from Nintendo rewards programs.
Possibly the best physical reward they ever gave out.
Camera one, please.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe it's back.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. In addition to that, there's some Super Mario 64 Puma sneakers, and they actually look really cool. Some other clothing items. I think there was it a jumper? I can't remember.
The only thing I care about was that Splatfest T-shirt.
Yeah.
That thing looked hot.
There is also Mario-themed furniture
Oh, in Animal
in
Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Shout outs to Roger. He predicted that in his predictions video.
See, okay, the only thing that's disappointing about this
Is
is
that they didn't have physical ones at IKEA?
No, that I really want some Mario costumes as well, cause like New Leaf was chock full of
Well,
Nintendo items.
Did they say furniture or did they say items?
They said furniture.
So probably no clothing.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Yeah, but like I wanna run around as Mario. I wanna run around as Luigi or whatever, you know.
And I want my Nintendo IKEA crossover content.
But I do anticipate, like, you know, Animal Crossing just continually, obviously, just getting more updates over time, just like this.
And I think this one's not even coming until January.
Yeah, it's like weirdly like in the future.
A lot of this 35th anniversary is taking place on the 36th anniversary, understandably.
Pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the 36th anniversary until like September of next
Right,
year,
yeah.
right?
The start of the anniversary is
Yeah,
technically
they've
like
they've
next
really
week.
dragged out like the actual content, all the Mario stuff. But oh my God, so much Mario.
I guarantee you, like, if we had not been experiencing a pandemic, we'd probably also like have a concert series happening.
That
which
would have been cool.
I'm a little bummed about because we've been to Ballad of the Goddess, and that is an incredible experience. Or
I mean,
Symphony of the Goddess, rather.
We have the 40th anniversary of Mario to look forward to now.
That's true. But yeah, I think Mario is having a good year starting 2 weeks from now.
Remember the year of Luigi?
You know what? I loved the year of Luigi.
It was so like.
It's hard to be green.
It's not even like they probably weren't even planning a year of Luigi. They just realized all these Luigi things were happening at the same time. They're like, let's utilize that.
And then the whole year, guys, the whole year of Luigi.
I remember the Nintendo Direct where they announced that, and Iwata came out and he was wearing a Luigi hat. Him and his cute self. I miss you.
One for the fallen homers.
And then, so it has been a while since we've kind of gotten together and chatted. There have been a couple Nintendo Directs, like minis. Specifically, this last partner showcase I want to talk about really quick. There was actually some pretty neat stuff in there if you're a rhythm game fan. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory got the release date, I think November 12th. It has an exclusive mode in Switch for like 8-player battles, I think. Taiko no Tatsujin,
Oh, yeah.
the 3DS RPGs, are being ported to Switch and localized, which is awesome. They're coming together in a single pack, and they feature over 130 songs, which is over double what's available in Taiko no Tatsujin Drum and Fun. So
Well,
this,
look at us go.
yeah. So if you're a Taiko fan and you already got your drum, this is gonna be a great game. I'm very excited for it.
I want a big taiko drum. Honestly, I just want an arcade machine. That's how I want to play it.
Yeah, I'd love to have one too.
One day.
But it's. I feel like this specific announcement has cemented, at least in my book, that Taiko no Tatsujin is here to stay in the West, which is good.
Please.
So we might even see
deserved
some
it.
of the arcade machines coming here, which would be cool.
Ooh, baby.
I think there was one other rhythm game announcement that I was interested in, but it has lost on me now.
Besides the Kingdom Hearts one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was Just Dance, of course. No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the indie showcase was good. I ended up spending like $50 that day on 2 games.
Oh, yes. Spiritfarer,
Yeah.
which I have put in almost 20 hours with Michaela because it's fully playable co-op.
It's one that I still plan to get,
And
but I
they
haven't
didn't
gotten
mention
yet.
it. They just didn't. They didn't say anything. They're like, "Oh, look, you can just add a controller, and you could just control the other character."
The basic premise is that you are the Spiritfarer. You are ferrying these wayward spirits to cross to the other side, right? But these spirits, they have unfinished business, and you have to help them kind of achieve resolution with those things. So it's a very emotional experience. No combat, just a lot of micromanaging and farming
hugging.
and hugging. Hugging is a game mechanic, ladies and gentlemen.
11 out of 12. Best game mechanic of all time.
It affects their mood and their productivity.
Yeah. They'll help you around the boat. Some of them have certain specializations. Like one character might teach you how to farm, so occasionally you'll see them farming for you. If you play with the second player gets to play as Daffodil, the cat. You have the exact same moveset as Stella, the main character. But yeah, I really like that. I also picked up a short hike, which was ported from PC. I think it runs just about 2 hours, but there's so much stuff you can do. Like the game tells you where you need to go, right? But it isn't pushing you to get there anytime soon. There'll be characters with requests. There'll be hidden stuff around the island, and you can just kind of do it at your leisure, and I really like that. And what was the other game you bought? Was it Manifold Garden?
Manifold Garden.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Manifold Garden is a puzzle game, and it's centered, like the main mechanics center around like optical illusions. So essentially, there are 6 different directions or facets, right, that you can, facades that you can activate. There's like different colors associated with all of them.
Okay.
And then there's different like blocks that only, like the gravity only works, you know, with that particular color. And so it's all about figuring out how to bring these blocks to activate like certain things and open up doors and such. And it's really weird. I like it a lot, but sometimes it can be overwhelming. Like I'm stuck right now on a puzzle because like the actual area that I'm in is like super like super large. But another fun aspect, and it's not really like a huge thing, is that like the structures repeat, right? The world is essentially infinite.
So like you could jump down and then eventually land back where you were standing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that can be, you know, used however many ways. And so yeah, but I'm stuck on a puzzle right now. And that's how I guess you know it's a good puzzle game, unless it's a really bad puzzle game and you're just stuck all the time. But I'm really enjoying it so far.
I think this might be possibly the best indie world that they've had in terms of just like volume of games and just quality. Also, this is the most I've ever purchased out of an indie world. Like after.
Oh, can I mention like the Spirit Fair like animated trailer was absolutely gorgeous, and the music in it. The vocalist is an artist. Her name is Timbre, and I've actually seen her live. I saw her live in like 2015 after she released a double album. So when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, is that Timbre? And then I just didn't think of it until I ran into a post on Twitter where somebody had mentioned that, you know, she did the vocals in this trailer for this song for this game. And I was just mind blown because it's just, you know, two worlds colliding.
Yeah.
Not to mention just the kind of music that she makes. You know, just a perfect fit for this game as well.
Totally. And Paul, you purchased some games from this too, right?
There's more that I plan to get when they actually release. I think the top of the list was Hades from Supergiant.
Yeah.
So I plan on getting that because that just looks like a good time. I got Raji because it seemed like a very like culturally rich game, and I was kind of interested in the experience.
Yeah, I've kind of got my eye on that one. Is it out yet? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
We've put in like 2 hours so far. It's run into a handful of glitches, but I'm trying not to let that ruin the experience.
Well, hopefully it's something that gets patched and you can kind of dive
Yeah,
back
I'm gonna
in.
give them a little bit of time just to iron some stuff out, and they'll hop back into it at some point. What was the claymation one?
Takashi and Hiroshi.
I got that because that just looked adorable. It was only like $8.
I love the premise of that one. Like you're an older brother making a game for his younger brother
To try and make him happy, and so it can't be too hard, can't be too can't be too easy.
I think this one was on Apple Arcade, and this is its official launch on other platforms. I definitely still want to play that. One game I want to draw attention to, and this is a game that our friend Josiah loves a lot, and also a game I love a lot, and that's Hypno Outlaw, which is a game where you basically play the role of an admin on an internet service. And you can go to different websites, and there's going to be forums, and you're going to have problem children that you have to take care of. You'll be assigned certain tasks like, oh, people are posting copyrighted images of this specific thing all over this forum. You need to go get rid of those. And then you get paid every time you delete some of those things, which you can then spend on in-game music. But it's coming to Switch. And what's funny is, like, I would not recommend playing this on Switch. I'd recommend playing it on a PC because you're emulating an OS basically, right?
I think you're going with something I was going to bring up. So,
but they added mouse and keyboard support for this game and didn't tell the creator. They just put it in, and then it ended up in the Switch version without him knowing.
That's so good.
You were saying, Paul?
I was going to bring that up. That
Oh,
little
okay.
factoid about it. There was one other game that like it's not out yet, but I do want to get the Card Shark one.
This one looks cool.
What an interesting concept!
Yeah.
And like, I want to learn all these card tricks.
So for those at home, the basic idea is you are cheating in card games, but this is like Victorian era. So like if you get caught cheating,
You
there's
get shot.
yeah, you're gonna get shot. So basically, you're just trying your best to swindle these people out of their money, and you have to use real like card shark techniques, which is awesome. So I'm excited to see how this one pans out. I like the art direction; it's kind of painterly. Yeah,
It wasn't in this showcase, but I did actually get another indie game from way back when, Dead Cells, because they had other games on sale around the
Nice.
indie showcase. And
Yeah.
that was the cheapest I think I've seen it to date. I think I got it for like 10 or 15 bucks.
There were a couple other games I think are noteworthy that I haven't looked too deep into, like Bear and Breakfast, Evergate, and I think there was one other, Garden Story. Our friend Conman RDW actually did a interview, I think, with the PR person who's in charge of that game, which is pretty neat. So make sure to go over to his channel and check that out. But they ended the showcase in a really weird way, if you ask me. I understand because I like this game, but they ended with the co-op reveal for Untitled Goose Game. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, Untitled Goose Game is great. They had a really funny bit at the Game Awards last year with it and the Muppets. Obviously, it was a huge phenomenon on the internet when it came out. But I don't know if this was exactly the way I would have ended a presentation. But, you know, they have to try their best to end these with something that's familiar that gets people excited. Like, I think the first indie world that really blew me away was the one where they announced Cadence of Hyrule. It's like, surprise, it's a Zelda game. So
I thought it was actually an interesting way to end it, because it's something that people, like you said, are familiar with,
Yeah.
but it's also something like a new spin on it.
now
I've
you
been-
can be more of a jerk.
I was already like interested in. I watched Charlotte play through it. I didn't really get to play through it myself,
Oh,
but
okay.
now we can actually go back through and experience it together and work together and like solve the problems together.
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually adds a lot of like depth, and it's a very fun dynamic for it.
Sure.
So it was, I'd say, a solid way to end the presentation.
And I haven't played Untitled Goose Game, so if I find somebody else to play it with, then I can play it through co-op.
There you
So,
go.
Hey.
So I think that's it for most of the major Nintendo news, but I do want to end this show with kind of the rumor that just keeps on giving, and that's the Switch Pro rumor.
Ooh.
Because we've had a little bit more info. I forget the exact sources of the information, and if Paul, if you could look that up for me.
I just want my phone back.
Oh, sorry. But basically, they're expecting, and this comes from certain manufacturers. I don't know any names specifically, but they're expecting more power, the potential for 4K graphics, not necessarily 4K output, as I understand it, but like potential for that. I don't exactly understand what they mean. So I guess you could consider this a Switch Pro because it's doing what we want. We want a Switch with more juice in it, right? But the biggest thing is that they are suggesting that this is going to come out by the end of Q1 of next year. So, like, we're potentially less than 6 months away from this thing coming out.
Yeah, so that's what's going to happen is they're going to stop selling 3D All-Stars, and they're going to sell 4K All-Stars.
I don't know if that's what we're looking for here, but
Yeah, this is it. I think the original source was Economic Daily News. Yeah, and like they come from, like I said, the manufacturers. And the last time this happened was with the Switch Lite and the Switch main console revision, the one that like gave it more battery life. So I'm inclined to believe that this is happening. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't.
I think they're kind of at that point where like PlayStation 5 and
Yeah.
new Xbox coming out that like you kind of need to beef it up a little bit because
Well-
it's already like they've been doing a good job like porting these games to it, but I'm gonna guess it's only gonna get more difficult going forward with PlayStation 5 and the new generation.
They finally got third-party support back, like which they lost in this Nintendo 64 era. You can't get that back and then just let it go. So I feel like they are pressured to make a stronger Switch so they can continue these relationships with companies like Bethesda and Capcom for more of their AAA games. So yeah, I think it's happening, and I think it's a smart move.
And I think that's probably a good thing in terms of like, you know, like I don't necessarily want to have to own all these consoles. I probably will just because exclusives will probably persist. But it would be nice to have, you know, again, more intermediate upgrades. I want that, you know, more powerful Switch. Just give it to me, Nintendo.
And this is something we've talked about before, but I'll mention it here again. I think my theory is that this is going to launch alongside Zelda. They're like, here, play Zelda on the shiny, new, more powerful Switch. Play it in 1080p, 60 FPS. Potentially 4K, 30 FPS.
I just hope that if they, like, with this, they have their branding down and it's not like a confusing mess like Wii U was or
I don't...
new Nintendo 3DS.
For sure. I don't think they're going to, like, position this necessarily, like, as a next-gen thing. But like you said, going with new Nintendo Switch is probably also not the best call. So Super Switch, Switch Pro, Nintendo Switch Advance, something that just makes it sound better than the one before it. You know, because you can't just have grandma going into GameStop trying to buy the new Switch for the grandchildren and going home with, you know, a Model 1, right?
You get the Nintendo Switcher.
Switchier. Yeah, so I think this is going to happen. I would expect a price point at $350 with the original model getting
A drop.
Yep. And I hope it comes out like in March because I'm about to take a big blow with this PS5 and I need a little time to recover. Anything else? Have you guys been playing anything lately?
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Yes, the best Nintendo Switch game.
My favorite.
What have I been playing? I haven't been playing a ton of Nintendo like usually, and I think that's mostly because
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 dropped.
My Pro controller continues to degrade. The left stick is not good. It's not good. It's like drift. There's actual drift on it now.
Well, what you could do is you could go to Walmart and get the $99 Super Mario Odyssey Plus Pro Controller bundle, and then just give the code to someone and see if they'll pay you a little bit for it. And you get a cheap Pro Controller out of it.
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
So, for those at home who don't have Super Mario Odyssey or a Pro Controller, they're selling it as a bundle for $99.
And the Pro Controller is actually really good, so
yeah,
don't sleep on it.
The Pro Controller itself's like, what, $70 or $80? It'd be silly not to buy it or to buy it in this combo pack if you don't have the game. But the game is a download code, just so you know. So like if you're a physical fanatic, you're not going to luck out here. That said, I don't know if there's anything else. I think we've pretty much covered it. Nintendo can only tell us so much in the midst of a pandemic, and even outside of a pandemic, there's not always a lot happening.
They've done like a fair job despite it.
Yeah, things are finally picking up because, you know, they're getting back into the swing of things. I think most of their employees are still working from home. I know Sakurai and his team is still working remotely, so, you know, I'm expecting a Smash character before the end of the year, but not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like December 31st.
On the day of the Game Awards, again. But I think that's going to do it for us. Charla, when I give you the cue, can you put it on the end screen? Or if Michaela's there, she'll know which one it is. Make sure to follow us on social media. You can follow me at Babababs, follow Logan at LoggyDubs, follow Paul at Gunnysaurus. You can follow us as a collective at Breakroom Arcade. Make sure to join our Discord server. If we're still active, we're still in there. Even if there's nothing to talk about, so there's no podcast, we're still in there talking about stuff. So we'd love to have you in there. Welcome. We have a new tech team. It's okay.
They're learning.
They are, yes, they're learning. But yeah, if you want to help support us a little bit on Patreon, we'd appreciate that. That's actually how we ended up getting the A10 Mini Pro ISO.
And which is how we can do all this fancy stuff.
Yeah, with this multicam setup. So that's all thanks to you guys. Thank you so much for making that possible. The next thing we want you guys to help us achieve is getting out of my living room. Because there's not a lot of room in here right now with all of our equipment. But thank you anyway. Make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, all that stuff. And until next time, don't break your backs, breaking the games. But for now, I'm playing footsie with Logan.
Nice.
Break time's over.
Without me?